Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the 20th hour with me, Isa Ali, and with Sayyid AMMAR NAKSHAWANI. Today we'll be discussing the issue of misconceptions about Shia Islam. So inshallah we hope that you will be able to join us for this conversation and for this discussion. We will not be taking any calls for the first 20 or 30 minutes because we do want to discuss various issues first and to actually lay the groundwork for the topic. But when we do open the phone lines, the telephone number will be on the bottom of the screen. I'd just like to remind all viewers again, this is a weekly show called the 20th hour every Saturday at 8 till 10 p.m. So inshallah, if you join us there on Sky Channel 836 and also online at www.ahlibait.tv, inshallah you can join us from all around the world. We can help to inshallah share the knowledge of Sayyid AMMAR. So again, today's discussion is the misconceptions about Shia Islam. So I'd like to welcome Sayyid AMMAR. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Clarify a lot of the beliefs of the Shia and to ensure that nobody would get any misideas or, as we said, to not perpetuate the misconceptions people had. So just to begin with, before we get on to the various problems that people have and the various questions they may have, what is the definition of the word Shia? Because it's one of those words which gets bandied about a lot and we may not actually understand its true meaning.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think it's very important for us to go in as much depth as possible in this discussion. For this discussion is not just a historical discussion, it's one of contemporary significance as well. When we look at the word Shia is of course a word which is mentioned in the Quran on more than 5 occasions. And it denotes either a meaning of the followers or a group of people. So for example, in the story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, you have Prophet Musa seeing these two who are fighting each other. And the Quran says, هَذَا مِنْ شِيعَتِهِ وَهَذَا مِنْ عَدُوَّهِ. One is of his Shia. Of his Shia here means what? Means of his people, as in like of his party, of a group that has a common denominator with him, or of a group of followers. So the idea given about the concept of the Shia is that Shia refers to a group who are followers of a particular ideology or a particular personality, let's say. So you may have the Shia of somebody in history. For example, you may have the Shia of somebody like Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, or you may have the Shia of Yazid. And the idea that the original definition is the party of Hussein and the party of Yazid. And as I said, the verse is mentioned in the Quran is denoting either followers or groups.
So I suppose for tonight's show, and we're going to deal and ask many questions about what are the misconceptions against Shiism and Shias. I suppose the first pertinent question would be, what is the correct position of the Shia on the wives of the Prophet? I mean, we do have one, as I mentioned, very disrespectful opinion, which is not one of the school of Ahlul Bayt. So if you'd like to clarify for us.
Well, the opinion of the Shia in relation to the wives of the Prophet is the opinion of the Quran in relation to the wives of the Prophet, and the opinion of history in relation to the wives of the Prophet. Because remember, when you're asking the question, what's the opinion of the Shia, there's something we always have to remember, and that is that the Shia are using the Quran and the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ in order that they are able to reach a conclusion on any issue, like any Muslim should do. If we look within the Holy Quran, we find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah 33 of the Quran, for example, verse number 6, he says the wives of the Prophet are like your mothers. In the idea that after they have married the Prophet, they cannot marry anybody else. They are in the position of your mother. You cannot marry them. There may have been certain people who came forward and said that you're telling us we're not going to be able to marry our cousins. And the Prophet would reply back by saying, no, as in after the Prophet has married these ladies, they are not to marry anybody else. Later in Surah 33 of the Quran, if you were to read from verses 28 until verse 33, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala divides the wives of the Prophet into 2 groups. There are those groups who Allah says to the Prophet, if you want, tell them, if they want this world and its pleasures, we'll let them go and have this world. And if they want the hereafter, we'll reward them with the hereafter. And in another verse, in that same sequence, from verse 28 to verse 33, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it very clear that, O wives of the Prophet, you are not like any other wives if you are conscious of God. Meaning that the criteria of a wife of a Prophet being at the highest level is that she is constantly conscious of the position of God in her life. We then witness that in the Quran in Surah 66, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us the example of wives of prophets of God who died as disbelievers. As in you find Prophet Noah and Prophet Lot, both their wives died as disbelievers, although they were married to prophets of God. Earlier in Surah Al-Tahrim, Surah 66 of the Quran, earlier ironically in that same chapter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reprimands two wives of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, for their behavior towards the Prophet. One of them calling his breath something that doesn't smell nice, and another divulging a secret which he had asked her not to. And in verse 3, she says to him, who told you that I divulged the secret? As you don't ask the Prophet of God who told you when he's got a link like Jibreel. In other words, the Quran has set for us an understanding that when it comes towards the wives of the Prophet, there are certain wives who constantly were obedient towards him, and there were other wives who know there were times where they displayed disobedience. And of course, all of them are at different levels with each other, without a shadow of doubt. As in the greatest wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa is Khadija. That there is no doubt in any school of Islam. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa used to say that nobody was to me like Khadija. When another wife of the Prophet, Aisha, had said that, why do you always bring up the name of this lady with the inflamed gums? He replied, she believed in me at a time when nobody else did. She trusted me when nobody else did. She gave me a daughter like Fatima. The greatest wife was Khadija, and it's no irony that he would not marry another wife while he's married to Khadija. Other wives he would marry a second or a third while he's married to them, but when it comes to Khadija, there is absolutely no way he married anybody else. Then with the other wives, of course, each one of them deserves their respect in the fact that they were in the house of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. And it is forbidden for any Muslim to come forward with this derogatory or defaming language towards the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. And this is an opinion of the ulama of the school of Ahlul Bayt. Yes, somebody could come forward today and wear the garb of a scholar and claim that he has studied, but at the end of the day, the ulama of the school of Ahlul Bayt continuously come forward with the idea that you, when you want to study the life of the wives of the Prophet, you don't end up by coming forward with disgusting language against their characters. You either come forward and say, this is the type of wife I would have followed her conduct, or you come forward and say, no, this is the type of wife I would have not followed that conduct. As in, for example, some people say, why do the Shia have a problem with Aisha, the daughter of Abu Bakr? And the reply is, the problem that comes is because of the Battle of Jamal, because she fights the Khalifa of her time, she fights Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. And you find that when you fight the Caliph of your time, there's not an act which is revered. But for a person to then, because of that, start coming forward and saying that she is so and so and so and so and making all these accusations, that's not allowed in Islam. In Islam, these are the wives who lived in the household of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. You are allowed to say, for example, that withdraw your mercy from any individual who fights Amir al-Mu'mineen. But to come forward and use disgusting language is not the akhlaq of a Muslim. And never should be the akhlaq of a follower of Ahlul Bayt towards any of the companions or the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
And in your answer there, you mentioned the importance of the Maraja, who have obviously come out and made statements against this. And but some people have gone the other way and said we shouldn't discuss these issues at all. But obviously there's nothing wrong with academically looking into these historical issues.
Of course, as in anyone who says we shouldn't discuss these issues, you know, some people come forward and say this was the period of fitna, and you shouldn't discuss the period of fitna. No, history is there as a science to be dissected. I can't sit down and watch the Battle of Camel happen and say, no, I can't discuss this because it's the wife of the Prophet against the son-in-law. No, I go, I discuss it, I see what's the reasons behind it, I try and learn from those lessons in history. But at the end, after having discussed this, I come forward with a conclusion which affects my own life. It's vital that we discuss these issues. And it's vital that we reach conclusions, because on the Day of Judgment, we're going to be asked about why we believed in what we believe. But we have to do it in a way where we show respect and manners towards people of different opinions.
So